So the scheduling of the New England Spartans.tv shows is frequently quite challenging. Normally when I reach out to a race director, it's right before one of their events and they're quite busy. Obviously they're building races. And recently I've also been on the road a lot with my day job. I just got back from Europe and next week I go to Salt Lake City and things are just a bit crazy. But I really wanted to get a show out. I haven't put one out in a while. And we have the American Heart Association's Heart Challenge coming up on the 25th next weekend. Elizabeth Perry, who is the race director, the organizer over at AHA, has actually been running with the New England Spartans for a while, and I've been talking to her off and on for some months. So I really wanted to grab some time between both of our day job schedules to talk to her about the event. So this is a much shorter than normal show. Normally these are an hour or so and we sit across the table and chat with each other. But this one we just grabbed the time we had in the middle of an afternoon. It was done over Google Hangouts, so the quality isn't the best and I apologize for that. But I really wanted to get this out. They've been doing great things. They've been talking to us a lot. They've been listening to a lot of feedback. And it really shows in how flexible they've been and what kind of care they're taking. I think these are some guys that it's really important to support. They're doing great things. And as I said, the event's on Saturday. So enjoy the show, process it. It's going to be a nice quick hit. And I hope to see you out there next weekend. So thanks for making time today. I know you have a race coming up in just a few days. So if you are listening to this before, what's the race date? Is it the 25th? 25th?
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this before the 25th, we're talking to Elizabeth Perry from the American Heart Association and her race. The Heart Challenge is coming up on Saturday. If you're listening to this after the 25th, you missed out. Sorry. Sorry?
I said bummer for them.
Bummer for them. So thanks for joining me. And I'm actually quite excited for your race. So you've been around. So tell me a bit about, before we get too deep into this, tell me a bit about what the race is, and then we'll talk about your history and some more about the bit more detail about the race.
Sure. So the Heart Challenge is a 5K obstacle course and trail run that was created by the American Heart and Stroke Association, where I work. And it's in its third year. And so the first 2 years, it was overseen by staff people here. Unfortunately, they had never done an OCR before. The event was great, but it had so much more potential.
Yeah.
And when I was hired back in August to head up the athletics department within the Greater Boston office, they had told me that this would be one of the events that I was handling. And I was really excited because of my history with OCRs and mud runs. And so I was really excited for the opportunity to see the growth in this. And that's actually the minute I knew that I was getting the job was when I reached out to you to see if we could partner. Awesome. Because I had been a member of the Spahtens, kind of a de facto member. One of my husband's friends, actually, Mike Collins, actually connected both my husband and myself to the Spahtens. And so when we can, we love to do races as much as possible, but we don't get to participate in as much as we would like with all of you. But when we do, we love to meet as many Spahtens as possible. So going back to Heart Challenge, it's in its third year. The first year, it took place in May, and then there was a 1.5 year gap, and then we just did one in October. And unfortunately, that was right at the tropical storm hurricane.
Yeah.
So it added an extra obstacle to the race, is what we like to say. But it was fun for the people that attended. They loved it. But unfortunately, getting people to register and getting people to show up was tough. So we had about 200 participants, but every single one of the 200 participants loved it. So now I've had a lot of time to put together what I wanted to see this race actually become. And we hired Fred Smith of Smith Fest Events to do all of our obstacles. I've done Blizzard Blast before, and so has my husband. And so we've seen, his technique. We've seen his passion for OCRs, and really kind of wanted to make him a part of that. So we added that to the race this year. Really excited to have him. And then we also added GameFace Media.
Yeah.
GameFace does a lot of the photography for races like Tough Mudder, and they also do the Superhero Scramble, I believe, and a couple of other races. And so we added them on this year because we had photography all the time, but it was typically just at start and finish. It wasn't at the obstacles. And being someone who does obstacle course races, I like to see myself tackling those obstacles. We all do, right?
And GameFace are about the best in the business, and they're also a local, a Boston-based company.
Yes, that is correct. So we're adding them into the mix this year. I'm really excited to have that. That was we were able to do that through a partnership and a friendship with Reebok, which is really great to have.
Yeah.
And so we've really started working with not only getting corporations involved and using this as an employee engagement event, but also getting running clubs, getting gyms, getting CrossFit clubs, getting everyone involved to put a team together, because this event is not just an obstacle course race.
Yep.
It's also raising money for heart and stroke. And so heart and stroke are the number 1 and 5 killers of Americans, respectfully, and we have kind of a mission that we call Get One Done, and we want to get out of that number 1 spot, because if we get out of that number 1 spot, then we're doing the job that we need to do. We're making sure people are eating healthy, they're getting exercise, they're paying attention to their bodies, and we are also educating the doctors and the nurses on the correct practices and treatments when an issue does arise. And so we have all of these fundraising events, including Heart Chase, to be able to do that. In Massachusetts alone, we fund over $34 million in research. That's just Massachusetts. That was just this year.
And that's from events, not obviously not like Heart Challenge, but the events you guys put on locally?
It's from all of our events.
Wow.
All of our events locally. That money helps us put $34.5 million into research at all of our major hospitals, and not our major hospitals, but we have over, I believe it's 151 research projects currently in hand in Boston. For the American Heart and Stroke Association, we are the number 1 funded area for research.
Wow.
So we're here, we're in Massachusetts, we have the best hospitals, we have the best colleges and universities, and we're able to really partner that way to make sure that the money from these events is going to finding cures and finding research for heart disease and stroke.
So how does it, so American Heart Association is a national organization, correct?
Correct.
And it's built up of these chapters. So we have a New England chapter or a Boston chapter. How does it does it work with the chapters and the regionalization?
Sure. So within our national office, we then have affiliates.
Okay.
And so we are part of the founders affiliate. And what that means is that we are part of that founding area of the American Heart Association. And we include states like, pretty much all of New England, New York, and those areas. And so within the affiliate, we have offices. And so we are the Greater Boston office.
Okay.
A central Massachusetts office, and then there's a southern New England office, which is in Rhode Island and handles kind of the southernmost area of Massachusetts. But we handle Boston and outskirts. So we handle Boston and the South Shore and the North Shore, and all of those areas. And our main office is in Waltham, and then we have a remote office in Boston as well. So. And I am the vice president of athletics within the Greater Boston office. So I oversee the Heart Challenge. I also oversee Intercollegiate Heart Chase, which is our we do an amazing race type, minute to win it type scavenger hunt with the colleges and universities here. And then I also oversee our Lawyers Have Heart, which is a 5K obstacle course race that we do with all the major law firms in Boston. And Yeah, it's amazing. We actually just had at the beginning of June, sold out with 2,400 participants. It's fantastic. It's an absolutely fantastic race. This year, we actually opened it up to non-lawyers. So next year, if you guys are interested, you can do your own.
I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, it's not
and we have some lawyers on the team as well.
Oh, perfect. Well, they'll love it. Absolutely love it.
Wow. And I mean, so the 2,400 people is quite a lot for for a local race that I've never heard of. That's pretty impressive.
So it just finished its 9th year. So next year will be its 10th year. And so for the first for most of the 9th year. So for the first 8.5 years, we'll say, it's really just been in the legal form, in the legal spectrum. So if you were a part of a legal office or you did legal services, you knew about this race. It initially had started, so Lawyers Have Heart only exists in one other area, and it exists in DC, and that's actually where it started. And then a lawyer that now is in Boston, that was in DC at the time, that ran Lawyers Have Heart in DC, moved to Boston, came to us and said, they have this really great event in DC, you need to do it. We created it here, and then now we're now starting our 10th year. So really excited to have that. Raises $400,000. It's a really great fundraising event, and it's awesome. We have so much fun with that event. It was fantastic this year, and we had amazing weather too. So.
Was it always an obstacle course? So you say it's been around for 9 years for you guys, but were you always running it as an obstacle style race?
No, this one's not an obstacle style race.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so Heart Challenge is our only obstacle style race. The Lawyers Have Heart is just a straight 5K, but it's in the Seaport district, so it's really it's beautiful. The
reason I wanted to kind of talk about that is the Heart Challenge is the newest local race for this year, and probably the last, just because logistics adding more races is difficult. But I wanted to kind of illustrate to people how, even though it's a national organization, you have these kind of hyper-local focuses. So you have a Boston office, a Central Mass office, and it's the Boston office that do this. And does the Heart Challenge exist elsewhere yet, or is this something that you're kind of building up, and like this, the lawyer race, you'll build it up and other people can emulate it if they need to?
Absolutely. So definitely the latter part of what you said. It currently only exists in Boston because Boston is the best. We know that. Massachusetts is the best.
No comment.
Well, I said Massachusetts, but no, it currently just exists here. Yeah. And so as we start to grow this and it becomes extremely successful, we will be able to replicate it across the country. That's the amazing part of the American Heart and Stroke Association, is that we can really create what is necessary for our area, what is a need for our area. And if we do it well and we do it successfully, we can replicate it in other areas very quickly. So it's wonderful to have that.
And that's a little different to how the other big kind of charity race that's out there is Mugfest MS.
Yes.
So they're the MS Association, but my understanding is for them, they actually hire a production company to travel the country and do it. And really all they do is put their banners on things. Mm-hmm. So they're not doing it in this kind of local way. But you guys, it's been run by an office locally. I mean, and obviously you've got an OCR background, so you're in at the deep end. And it's funny you mentioned Mike Collins, because 2 minutes before this call, I just packaged up an order he placed in our store. So I have a packet for him sitting right over there. So tell me a bit about the actual race. So this is its 3rd year. You're now bringing on Fred Smith, and everybody knows Fred. He's kind of a larger-than-life character that puts on a couple of very popular events in the year that they're never really he doesn't even, they're not the hardest races in the world, but they're right up there with the most fun races that you'll do in the calendar year. So what is it that you and he and that partnership are going to be bringing that's different to previous years? If you ran it last year, what can you expect to be different?
So the entire race will be different. Majority of the course will be different.
Okay.
All of the obstacles will be different. The thing about adding Fred to the mix this year is that I have a passion for athletic events. I've always loved everything about running, and being new to OCRs within the last 4 years, that became something that was so fun for me. It's challenging. There are still obstacles I can't do just because I don't have the upper body strength that I would love to have, but I still go out there and I still try my hardest to accomplish every single obstacle. And so I have a passion for these types of events. And Fred has a passion for these types of events as well. And so I think you described him perfectly when you said he was a larger than life character. I think that is the only way you can describe him.
Big personality.
Huge personality. He has a ton of passion for this event. And that passion shows in these obstacles. So, we have these great opportunities with the location that we have, which is Prowse Farm. That's on the Meditech property. And Meditech has been a wonderful partner with us to allow us to have this property. And so we've been able to add a trail run into it. So it's kind of similar to almost like a Spartan race that, when we used to go up to Amesbury, and we would have a lot of that running portion where we thought, oh, we were going to run about 3.5 miles, and it ends up being 5.5, and it's all trail. So we will have a good portion of trail, majority of it flat, not too crazy, but definitely enough terrain spike to definitely add some toughness to it. But as far as the obstacles themselves, he really brought out AHA. What we wanted to do was we wanted to make an obstacle course that if you were a survivor, if you were a heart or stroke survivor, you could accomplish this. But if you had done 100 OCRs, you were going to have a kick-ass time.
Good.
And so I think the partnership with Fred really is going to make that happen. And so, we posted the obstacle course list on the Heart Challenge New England Spahtens page just the other day. And so you can see really kind of the funness that we're going to add to it. But truly, Fred's genius, I guess I would say, is that he really can just look at the land and just really create obstacles based on what we give him. And so there are obstacles that he's doing that we wouldn't be able to do anywhere else just because of what the Prowse Farm Meditech property allows us. So he's really given us the opportunity to have a lot of fun. So I think whether this is your first race or whether this is your 100th race, you're going to have a lot of fun and you're going to enjoy it.
That's awesome. And I know we're a little tight for time today, so we're not going to get too deep, but I wanted to say that obviously you reached out when you first started at AHA, and we talked a bit about what you could do, what you were planning to do, and you guys have been nothing but amazingly accommodating for what we were looking for with a Race Local event. And I know that in the last 8 weeks or so, people started asking, "Can I run multiple laps? Can I do this?" And you guys have, really helped and been accommodating for people who want to go out and do tons of mileage. So a thank you from the community on that, because it lets people go out and turn their day, which could have been a 3-mile race, into 6, 9, 12, however many they can keep doing. And I know there's a lot of people in the community who appreciate that. So, thank you. I mean, it's nice to work with a group that's able to just accommodate. So is this
so easy to work with? So
good. Good to hear it. Is this something you're going to be doing on an annual basis, or do you want to focus this as just a once a year, or do you want to do more of them? Is this how close is this to becoming something other regions build out yet, or do you even know?
I think we're still a little bit a ways from that, since we had like a rough first 2 years. I'm actually dubbing this in my book as our first year. This is the first year that I've really had enough time to plan it, put a lot of the aspects into an OCR that I like to see in there. And so I'm kind of dubbing this as our first year. So we're still probably about 3 to 5 years before we really push it out to other areas. But we will do this race once a year, and we'd ideally like to keep it this time every year. The weather is better. Obviously we check all the major OCRs and mud runs to make sure that we're not we're not on top of them, because we know that we're starting out and we're building a name and a brand. But really our focus is, it's really a great time. You can come out, you can have a lot of fun, you can challenge yourself. You're doing something for a really great cause. And hopefully next year, kids challenge. So we'll really be able to be 100% family friendly, which is what we've been
Awesome.
striving from since the beginning.
And how are the, I mean, obviously we're a few days away and you get a lot of people on race day, but how are you looking for registration compared to previous years? Is it growing, or is this something that you're looking at, this is your launch, and show people what you can do and go from there?
Sure. So we have more people than we had last year, so
Awesome.
we're in the right direction.
That's
We're
good.
definitely growing. We'll probably have about 250 to 300 on race day. So we're going in the right direction. But I'll be honest, my goal was to have 500 this year, but maybe that was just a little optimistic for me. I mean, I know we're a new race, and I'm hoping that, with the Spahtens coming out, you have a really great representation coming out to our event, that they'll give it really great reviews. And then next year we'll have an even bigger team, and it'll just grow within not only the Spahtens, but within the OCR community in and of itself. Because we all talk about races we love, and we all talk about races we hate. And so, really what we're looking for is your feedback on it. We want to be able to make this the best race it possibly can. And so, we hope that we've been responsive to you. We hope that we provide you with a really fun race and a really easy registration process. And it might be small this year, but trust me, each year we are going to grow, and you're going to have more fun than you did the previous year.
That's awesome to hear, because that's really all you can expect. If you come out saying we're the best, we're the biggest, we're the hardest, we're the toughest, big letdown. But if you come out and say we're going to grow, we're going to improve, and tell us what you like and don't like, and I said it earlier, but you guys have been very responsive, very open to anything we've given, and that's that makes all the difference.
Perfect. I can tell you, I personally think we are the most passionate, though.
I would not argue with that one. Although I know a few race directors who might disagree.
That's okay. We can hash it out.
So as I said, I know we're tight for time, and I wanted to keep this one a super short one for getting it live, getting it out before the race, and let people digest it. So let's tell people where, when, and how. So can they still register?
Yes, they can still register.
Yeah.
Registration online will close Friday at noon, and that is at heartchallenge.org.
Yeah.
And then after that, so currently registration is $75 for the average Joe. The New England Spahtens have a discount code, a 10% code, I believe, right? Is that what we?
I think so. Yeah, but I'll make sure I share it with the post.
And so make sure that you use that code as well. And then race day registration is $95. So if you come to us and register right then, it's $95. We still have plenty of spaces available. Our first heat starts at 8:30. We wanted to start a little bit earlier just because we know it's going to be a warm day. So we want to try to get off as many heats as possible before the sun really starts, blaring overhead. And there's free parking. There's parking on premises, so you're not getting bussed.
Awesome.
I've been to plenty of races where you have to get there so much earlier because you've got to, stand in line for the bus and wait for a bus and get there. So, you'll pull on right onto the property, and there will be monitors there to show you where to park. So we try to make it as convenient as possible for as long as we can. Once we outgrow that parking garage, we're going to have to do the busing, and that'll be a good problem. But so if you go to heartchallenge.org, you can still register. Like I said, up until Friday at noon. And if for some reason you can't race this year, if you have an injury or you're just not able to, if you want to come and volunteer, we're more than happy to have you. We would love as many volunteers as possible. This way you can see the race and know what you're getting yourself into for next year.
Fantastic. So again, thanks for making the time today, and I will make sure this goes out promptly so people can digest it. And I hope to be able to see you. As I said before we got on the call, my busy work life just got even more busy, so I don't know yet, but I will hope to be there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Hope to see you all on Saturday.